Welcome back to the channel, lads and ladies, and welcome to 6-7 Germany Not Suffering. So I decided to play a couple of BRs in the few matches that I've been playing recently, and those are 8-0 USA. I'm having more and more fun with that lineup for whatever reason. I think the Sweaties have moved up to a higher tier, and people just tend to play a little bit more aggressively. There's more of a diversity of vehicles than there used to be at that BR, and they tend to not do too poorly in an up tier either. USA has some incredibly, fantastically strong and capable vehicles at that BR. But the same can be said for German 6-7. Now, back in the day, you used to get up-tiered to 7-7 fairly often. Not all the time, and probably not even most of the time, but enough that you would find yourself feeling less than competitive on occasion. Speaking of which, the German 105, lads and ladies. I'm not sure what was going on there, but he was giving his best college try. But we're gonna be having a good time. All of my matches were fun in these 6-7 German matches, and I'm gonna share a good portion of that with you all. But before I get into the action, I'd like to bring your attention to a link in the description of this video. I spent I don't know, around 3 or 4 hours this morning setting up a proposition in the recommendations section of the War Thunder forums, and I wish I'd brought Hesh, but I have suggested a different kind of Ace premium style aircraft in the game. We have the Ace aircrafts like Dolgushin's La 7 and let's see, what's the Mustang? There's a couple of Mustangs. There's Pakrishkin's P-39 that's wildly popular, but generally they are more or less a copy of a regular Tech Tree vehicle with a premium camouflage and whatever, you know what I'm talking about. I suggest, wouldn't it be neat to have test pilot versions of premium aircraft in the game? That would be appropriate for a lot of vehicles that didn't see combat service. They can still have famous test pilots' names associated with them, and the whole test piloting aspect of aviation is just as important and just as fraught with danger and ripe for heroic action as the combat aces of the world. Or at least close enough that it's pretty cool to have, you know, Chuck Yeager's this or that, or what have you. So, if you would be so kind, check that out. If you have a profile on the War Thunder forums and you'd like being able to give attention to things that might come to the game, and if you think that's a bad idea, well, there's a poll for you there, and if I can't change your mind with my very brief and succinct presentation, then in fact it takes less time to read that than it took for me to describe it. It's a very well organized post, if I say so myself. But yeah, go tell me what you think at the link. I know that the two-factor authentication can make things a little bit more tedious, but your attention is appreciated. And so far, the results that I've seen on the poll have been nice, so it looks like I'm not the only one that thinks that would be a cool idea. How it is actually implemented in the game is another thing altogether, and there's definitely some room for things to be less than fantastic or a little bit weird, but I don't think it would hurt too badly. The vehicles are already... Anyway, I'm wasting your time. This is now one of my favorite aircraft in the game. If I had to only ever fly one aircraft in this game, it would probably be the ME-262A1 U4 Narwhal that has stayed at its 6-7 battle rating for ages and remains perhaps the most effective attacker or strike fighter in the game, even though I don't think it's actually classified as a strike fighter. I think it's still called a jet fighter because this aircraft does not need any additional advantage over other attacker aircraft. It is superb in its role as either a bomber interceptor, where it might not get quite as much traction at 6.7, but there is the B-29 and the TU-4 to consider. I guess the TU-4 is above its battle rating range for RB, but meh, I say. It is a very well-performing aircraft. When compared with other 6.7s, it excels in straight line speed. It has decent vertical energy retention and not fantastic maneuvering energy retention, but incredible dive speed and a tanky airframe, a decent amount of ammunition for its very deadly 50mm cannon that has seen a few changes over the course of the game. I remember when I started playing a few years ago, I used to be able to bullseye womp rats down in Beggar's Canyon, but I also was able to one-shot AI heavy tanks on the Air RB maps from like 3 kilometers up, and that is entirely impossible now because of the dispersion of the cannon. But you fire, you can see me firing, I don't know, 3 or 4 shots at as close a range as I can before pulling out at the last second, the way I love to do. And that is fairly effective. You'll see that it works against many vehicles from a rather shallow angle of attack, if that's your opportunity. I wasn't sure if that was a medium tank or a light tank, but it looked American, so I was counting on some thinner turret armor, and it was actually the the Bulldog. So yeah, not an issue for me, definitely an issue for him. And that is that's really all I have to say about the Narwhal right now. Again, you can tell this is one of my favorite aircraft in the game because I made this cool custom camo for it, and this is actually the 2nd or 3rd custom camo that I've made for the Narwhal. It's kind of an odd aircraft to make custom camos for. There's a huge amount of space on this thing, and it's kind of challenging for me to find something appropriate to fill all of that space with, if that makes any sense. But I love the weird triangular shape of the fuselage. I don't know many aircraft that are like that, and there's so many things to love about this aircraft. Chief among them, it's near impossibility to overspeed, and the fact that you can do this. This is still probably my favorite thing to do with the Narwhal. I mean, getting kills is pretty cool, but how many vehicles can you actually belly land at 300 miles per hour in this game? I'm loving it. Oh, they don't front flip anymore, so hooray. Anyway, I actually was AFK for like 6 or 7 minutes there because I had to do some parenting. I had a poopy diaper to change. In fact, I think there were 2 poopy diapers in the interim. And when I came back, I saw that my team probably needed more help on the ground capturing that A point. So I decided to come out in the Tiger II-H, which is another vehicle that has just incredible strength at 6.7. It has probably the overall most powerful damage over time gun in the game. Its one-shot potential is fantastic to kill or cripple anything it punches through, and it can punch through just about anything with little effort and a wide margin for error. High velocity, easy to fire long range, where the armor of the Tiger II-H excels as well. And yet you definitely lack in mobility and especially maneuverability. And that Owlbolt was a speed demon. Anyway, that pretty much wraps things up for this match. I did end up having some fun in the Jagdtiger, which it still blows my mind that this tank is a 6.7. I remember this being, I think, 7.3, if not 7.7. The gun on this thing is still absolutely terrifying, and with so many other guns having less reliability over the course of changes in the game over the past year or so, and the armor of this thing is still being absolutely okay. So I did talk about the reliability of the gun. Nothing is a one-shot kill every single time, okay? Sometimes weird stuff happens, especially when cupolas are involved, but it is an incredible donk gun, and again, good at long range, good armor pen for the tier, and just look at the damage. Look at that damage. It's a beautiful thing. And you can actually angle the armor on this vehicle and become nigh impenetrable. There are times when the Jagdtiger has even stronger frontal armor than the Maus. It's ridiculous. Maybe that's a bit of an overstatement, but that's the way it feels. Also, of course, you're less likely to suffer from heat FS, and you're not likely to see any by the way, this is toward the end of another match. Just wanted to show off some Jagdtiger time. You're pretty much not going to see ATGMs in the Jagdtiger, and because the fighting compartment is toward the rear of the tank, there's a lot of tank here. And because there's a lot of space inside the vehicle, it is more rare that you suffer critical damage from things like heat FS, especially, again, if you angle your vehicle. And the mantlet and upper casemate area of the tank are stupendously well armored, with some trolley angles as well. Very capable of eating up enemy rounds. And you'll see us do that a bit more. Maybe in this match, I can't quite remember. We do end up getting a number of kills and being very useful to our team, and it really shows off the Jagdtiger's capability of holding down a vector. But if you have to reposition, or if you're being flanked by the enemy, you're definitely at a disadvantage. Here's some heat FS, comes in and drops low. That's good for us. He could have taken his time and aimed. Being that we're a Jagdtiger, we take a while to reload, and it also takes us a while to reposition into a firing position after angling our armor, which is definitely something we want to do against heat FS. But that M4, what is it, M48, I think. I can't remember. The M's start just kind of running together in my mind. But he had other things to do, and of course we have our teammates backing us up really well at this point in this match, which definitely made a huge difference and kept us able to be useful in the fight. As I mentioned, the Jagdtiger does very poorly when its flanks are exposed, so you really want to treat this thing like like a spear. You can push through opposition ahead, but if the enemy gets in close and starts moving around your very dangerous offensive point, then things are going to get bad for you fairly quickly. And of course, the best way to defeat a Jagdtiger is just to have an incline in between you and it. But in War Thunder, final drives are a bit more effective than they were for the Germans in real life. So, now our goal is just to hold down this point, and there's really two directions around this rock formation that you want to be aware of at this point. I'm checking the back side of the map to see that I still have teammates around that flank. If the enemy decides to push forward, I'll be counting on them to stop them or to die in the process, loudly preferably, so I can tell what's going on. And of course, there's not much I can do against a Bearcat, or was that a PB? No, that was a PBY. Well, I mean, there's not much I can do about that either. If he decided to bomb me, I'd be dead. But thankfully, the fantastically famous, for good reasons, US CAS did not focus on me, and I was able to capture the zone. Now it's something of a guessing game about which is better, to push up to a more aggressive defensive position here, or to, oh, hello there, goodbye little one. Oh, when the high explosive charge went off, that's gotta hurt. But there's two ways to defend this zone: either to stay close in and not push up this rise and scout out the enemy here, or to do as I'm doing and open myself up a little bit more to flanking opportunities, but also it's definitely a wider field of view, and it is my preferred way of holding down this zone. You can sort of watch both directions at once if you keep your eyes bobbing back and forth, and you can see that the Jagdtiger is not fantastically good at retreating to a covered position, but we're just trying to be one step ahead of the hangman here, just one beat ahead of how does it go? I can't remember. Aladdin's a pretty good movie. I should watch that with the girls sometime. They'd probably like it. I think I did once. I'm not quite sure. Brooklyn would remember. That girl remembers absolutely everything. She has an incredible, very detailed, specific memory, and she also has a very vivid imagination. She always acts like she's in a YouTube video. She yelled at Chonky today because she was ruining her video. She wanted to be a cooking girl. I got her a Play-Doh, it's like a grill set. It's really cool. It's Hamburgers for Freedom. If you're an American kid, you need to have like a hamburger press. So I got her this little Play-Doh hamburger grill set. It's super cute. It's really cool. Like it gets me all excited. We're gonna have hamburgers tomorrow, and at the same time, Brooklyn's very bossy about how that gets used, and she was making a video. She wasn't really making a video, but she's always making a video. And she was getting frustrated with her little 2.5-year-old helper, little Chonky over there. And of course, this is Brooklyn's toy, so Chonky was super jealous because Chonky didn't get anything today. And but it was a special gift because it was to reward Brooklyn for another milestone in her potty training, which is going super well. She doesn't have accidents anymore. Once she got serious about potty training, she was really, really consistent, and she went poo-poo in the big potty. So I'm very proud. And today, without any prompting, she decided to wipe herself after she went without telling me. Usually, I joke with my wife that Brooklyn just like runs into the doorway of the bathroom and like shoots her poop into the toilet because she's so fast. She's the fastest sphincter of the West. I have no idea how that kid poops so fast. Like, she gets up and walks into the bathroom and then she's like, "I pooped, come wipe me." and I do what I gotta do, you know, because I don't trust toddler fingers with a task like that. But anyway, today she didn't tell me, and she went, by the way, you're gonna see some absolute sneaky ninja work here in the RU-251. This is probably the best light tank in the game, tier for tier, and it really, really shows. If you're a fan of the meta way of playing War Thunder at this tier, which is to have mobility and firepower and a little bit of gun handling if you can, the RU-251 is absolutely the pinnacle of that. It's a fantastic vehicle to research with. It'll teach you all the things that are required to do well in German vehicles later on in the game, and the things that you do in the RU-251 can teach you to do well in just about anything. So I'm a huge fan of this tank, and I didn't even see where we got hit from there, but we did, I guess, take a hit when we were attacking those two advancing enemy tanks, and that was, I talked about, you know, how this will teach you good habits, but that was a little bit bold of me, but I'd already captured the zone, so I had some SP to play around with. So where was it going? Something about, oh yeah, Brooklyn didn't tell me that she was going poop, and she was in the bathroom with her little sister, because if anybody goes into the bathroom, Chunky is like she's like a parasite. Like, she latches onto anyone that goes in the bathroom, and the bathroom is a fun place for her, so I hope it, you know, stays that way as we continue to go down the path of potty training her. She's not really ready yet, but soon. But anyway, Brooklyn's in the bathroom, Chunky's in the bathroom, they're hanging out, and I don't know, I guess I just kind of like heard a commotion, so I go to see what's going on, and Brooklyn had like reached up and grabbed my butt wipes that are for my butt. They're not the big wipes that I use when I'm helping Brooklyn. They're the little flushable wipes that are like half the size, and she'd already wiped herself. She showed me, she's like, "Look, I wiped," and I'm like, okay, let's check out things here. So she did a pretty good job, but I'm pretty sure she got some on her fingers, because she was like, you know, her thumb was pretty far down that wipe when she was holding on to it, so I made sure she washed her hands well. Anyway, the joys of parenting, lads and ladies. Like, I always wanted to like have kids and love my kids and take care of them, and it's exactly as rewarding as I thought it would be. It's an incredible feeling to just bless somebody else. In a situation where you have like all the responsibility, but you also have like all the power over their life. It's crazy how much power over your kids' lives you have when you have them, and it's really cool to use that to do good things for them. And unfortunately, we're doing terrible things to this T21, I think it's called. Fantastic tank, by the way. I have no idea where that round went, but not into the enemy. I think his breach is out, so we can afford to take our time here. And well, that guy wasn't where I thought it would be, and then he just kind of blew up. Was he on fire, or did he just? I think he might have just jumped out of the vehicle. Anyway, 4 kills, more or less, and a cap. Not bad at all. Great start to the match, and just, I mean, with how I was playing the RU-251 there, I was going sort of ninja mode, trying to catch people. You just assume that people are going to be in a certain place, and then you try and just get beside them or behind them. But then, if you do that, you have a pretty good chance of getting shot in the butt by reinforcements. So, yeah, that lasted longer than I expected it to. In other words, I'm having a good time, and I really am having a good time in War Thunder lately. I've been playing a lot less of the game, even though I spent a decent chunk of time setting up and doing research for that suggestion post. It's something that's been sort of kicking around in my head for a while, and I was like, you know what, I finally have a pretty good handle on that idea. Let's crank that one out before something distracts me. And oh boy, were there a lot of distractions today. The kids were very energetic. Chonky, I've talked about, 2.5 years old, just absolute 100% little sister syndrome all the time. And she and Brooklyn have like teared this place up over the last few days. There's so many like blankets, and they got into the laundry and like carried all the clean clothes into the living room, and just like kind of they're nesting everywhere. There's like, I swear they're rodents, but they love building little nests, and I mean, it's kind of adorable, but it's somewhat inconvenient at the same time. And by the time I got back to the airfield, everything was coming together nicely. The JU-288, I think it sits at a 6.0 now, but it really doesn't matter what the battle rating of this thing is. It has two 1,800 kilo bombs. It has fantastic flight characteristics, just incredible acceleration, and good maneuverability, decent amount of survivability. You can usually put out one fire with this thing, and the defensive guns are exceptional. There's really nothing wrong with this plane, and you can definitely make very effective use of the bombing camera that's available to it as well. But that pretty much wraps up my Germany Not Suffering presentation. I didn't have any bad matches. I mean, some of them didn't go well for me, but I had a good time. I always felt like I had the tools that I needed to make a difference in my matches. And that just goes to show what a delightful battle rating this is. Even if you're not using the premium vehicles, there are a fantastic selection of each type of vehicle at this BR range for Germany. Anyway, hope you enjoyed, and do be a pal and check out that link in the description. Bye bye.